Hey guys, welcome to The Strong Young Man. You become a man not at 18, but the moment you choose to take responsibility for everything in your life. The way of men is to take responsibility for your actions, your problems, and your future, rather than dodging responsibility and looking for someone else to blame for life's bad outcomes. Dodging responsibility is a form of victim mentality, and it won't help you solve life's problems. Victims seek to blame others for their problems or outside circumstances. Blaming others allows people to escape the reality that they are partially or wholly responsible for a problem. If you want to be a real man, you need to man up and face your problems head on. Start by owning your own problems and accepting responsibility for everything that happens to you. This will put you in the driver's seat and allow you to control every aspect of your life. You can do this at any age, but age is no guarantee that you can do this. In fact, it's so hard that there are males who are 40 years old who haven't become a man yet. No one respects an adult male who hasn't taken responsibility for his actions. He's not a real man. These people are the tragedies of life. An epidemic of man boys is among us. This is a sad consequence of divorce, where young men have absolutely no guidance because they were never shown or taught how to be a man and they couldn't figure it out for themselves. You must become a man by 30. Nothing is cute about a 30-year-old man-child. Take the necessary steps toward accepting responsibility for everything in your life as early as possible because it becomes harder and harder the older you become. The older you become, the more set in your ways you are, and the less socially acceptable it is to help boys over 30 become men. Stop playing video games, stop watching TV, stop masturbating, stop drinking, stop smoking, stop being weak. Take care of your bills, own your problems, and stop making excuses. We are all self-made men, whether successful or not. Through our choices, we are whom we choose to become. Make sure you are making the choices that will result in you becoming a man, and this will bring you much respect and success. The most damaging tendency that you can possess as a man is a tendency to attribute all your failures and mistakes to external factors. Accepting responsibility and facing the reality that you were not intelligent enough to foresee how your behaviour contributed to the situation you find yourself in is often too painful to bear. This is so damaging because no introspection occurs and the character flaw that caused this mistake lives on. Mistakes continue to be made and the character flaw grows in size. Whenever you experience a failure or a mistake, no matter how small, you should never look outwards to find the source of that failure or mistake, nor should you wallow in self-pity. These methods are quick solutions that do absolutely nothing to prevent the situation from occurring again, which should be the end goal of the exercise. If other factors are the problem, then they are also the solution. If you believe that you can't control these other factors, then you also can't control the bad things that are happening to you, and this is powerlessness. If you really want to improve your situation, then you must look within yourself, and never look to seek an explanation by blaming anything except that which is inside your control. People and groups are always going to be bad, and circumstances aren't always going to be ideal. There is always bad luck out there. But by looking internally, deep within yourself, you can identify factors that are within your control that you can alter to mitigate the chance of the inevitability of the world's chaos affecting you in a negative way. Put the power back in your hands by owning your circumstances so that you can obtain more control over future outcomes. The best way to start is to question, what could have I done to prevent this from happening? Under such scrutiny, you'll begin to think for yourself, rather than defaulting to the claim of victimhood. Adopting this attitude will see you take control of your destiny, because you'll start to identify everything that you could have done to prevent something from happening. This is what it means to make your own luck. It really means that you are the master of your own destiny. Here are some examples of how you can shift your mentality from a victim mentality to an ownership mentality. On the surface, the victim of these problems may appear innocent. However, I'm going to peel back the layers and show you how you can own responsibility for the problem. Then you can change the outcome for total control to prevent the problem from occurring again. Example number 1. If I'm exercising and I get injured, I take responsibility for moving in a way that injured me, even if there was some external factor that made me move in an unnatural way that caused the injury. If I accept 100% liability, I can take the necessary steps to prevent the injury from occurring in the future. For example, I can strengthen supporting tissue, correct postural abnormalities, or avoid the movement that caused the issue. Example number 2. If I upset someone that I care about when I didn't intend to, then I take responsibility for the actions that caused them to become upset. That way I can curate my behaviour more carefully in the future. I don't go blaming my actions on being tired or having a bad day at work, etc. Example number 3. If I get struck by lightning, then I take responsibility for occupying that space, rather than claiming it was sheer bad luck or that I'm an innocent victim. This example may be a little hard to conceptualise, but hear me out. It's the ultimate example of how you can take responsibility for your life and it will separate the men from the boys. 2 coincidences have to occur simultaneously when a person is struck by lightning. The lightning has to strike, and the person has to be occupying that space that the lightning strikes. Obviously, you can't control when or where the lightning will strike, but you can control your position in a lightning storm. You can minimize the time spent outside during a thunderstorm. You can also influence the place that the lightning strikes, but you cannot affect this if you don't own the responsibility. By wearing certain clothing, standing in certain positions relative to other objects, and by avoiding cliff edges, bodies of water, and electrical conductors, you can influence the lightning to strike something or someone else. Understand that everyone experiences bad luck from time to time, but the ones who experience it more than others draw it upon themselves with their destructive actions and unsettling effect on people. You can distinguish the ones who draw it upon themselves by their reputation or by observing the effect these people have on others. When people experience genuine bad luck and loss of control, the positive people will turn it around very quickly. The negative people will draw out the suffering, exclaiming they were victimised. Avoid people with this victim mentality. These negative patterns of theirs will bring upon repetitive failures, which will follow them around like a shadow. These people are often unaware, and their chaos will begin to infect you, so avoid these people to avoid their negative traits infecting you. To assist you in your endeavours to possessing an ownership mentality, you must understand this one critical aspect of human nature. When we fail or make a mistake, we have a tendency to attribute this failure to circumstances that push us into doing it, or circumstances outside of our control. However, when others fail or make a mistake, we tend to see this as a character flaw. This is known as the attribution bias. People constantly make attributions about why people behave in certain ways. Understand that attributions do not always accurately reflect reality. Attributions are controlled by what we want to see in the world, rather than what we actually see. It's human nature to seek an explanation for everything that happens to us. Failure to find some sort of explanation as to why something has happened to us causes great suffering. Ideally, we should determine our role in the failure or mistake, which we could improve on to prevent it from repeating, but this rarely happens. It's very hard for our ego to exercise humility and accept that we have a character flaw. Our brains go into psychological defense mode. It's more acceptable for our brain to ignore the fact that we might have a character flaw. The default explanation then becomes to blame the failure or mistake on external factors. This concept is known as locus of control. A strong internal locus of control is associated with the belief that you have the power to influence your fate and life outcomes, where a strong external locus of control is the tendency to blame external factors. You must do everything that you can to strengthen your internal locus of control. Here is today's finishing thought. In matters of self-improvement, any change to your life must start from within. You and you alone must find the drive within yourself to improve your situation. Don't be doing something to please others. The drive will disappear over time as the drive to please the individual wanes. Your desire to improve your position once activated will ensure you continue to remain motivated to continue on your worst days. This is why change must start from within. The greatest obstacle is the first step. The first step is recognizing that you need a change, but this is also the hardest part. Once you've accepted that you need a change, then you are halfway to solving the problem. Thanks for watching today's episode. In episode 74, I'll go through the art of reading people. Subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when it drops. Catch you then.